And finally, in Europe, Poland, led by Prime Minister Donald Tusk, is locking horns with the European Union over its migration pact.
So Poland will not be accepting these migrants.
At the political level, of course, we will close the issues related to the migration pact and the fact that Poland will not participate in any relocation mechanism.
Before Brussels even realized how fragile its authority truly was, Poland said no to the migration plan, and Ursula's grand migration project cracked on impact. This pact was sold as Europe's final answer to the border crisis, a historic fix, a display of unity. But one refusal shattered the headline and exposed the myth of consensus. This isn't just a minor disagreement. This is the moment a single country exposed how weak the strongest union in the world really is.
Thousands of people marched through the Polish capital, Warsaw, on Saturday in a massive show of opposition to illegal migration and European Union migration policy.
The EU Pact, hailed as a historic breakthrough, seeks to manage asylum seekers collectively. Yet Poland's defiance threatens its implementation before it even begins.
Brussels introduced the new pact on migration and asylum like it was Europe's breakthrough moment, a modern system, a unified response, the final solution to a crisis that has fractured the continent for nearly a decade. Faster border checks, centralized asylum procedures, safe country classifications, polished ideas, smooth headlines, crafted perfectly for press releases.
The EU's integration agenda as an effort to weaken Poland's independence.
But beneath the presentation sat the most explosive feature of all: mandatory solidarity. Take in relocated migrants or pay 20,000 euros for every refusal. A friendly way of saying, comply or pay for disobedience.
We will not be accepting any refugees under this mechanism, nor will we be paying any compensation in this regard. So the political agreement that has been reached for Poland is very, very good.
But Poland didn't see reform. Poland saw a redistribution system disguised as cooperation. Warsaw looked past the scripted language and read the blueprint for what it was: centralized decision-making in Brussels, frontline pressure on border states, and a financial penalty for dissent dressed up as unity.
We're making it very clear that when it comes to the entire migration package, the Polish voice, which says that the Union should focus more on defending its external borders and on procedures. There is too much bureaucracy, too many procedures, and not enough real support.
The pact may streamline asylum files on paper, but it does not change geography. Migrants don't land in commission buildings. They land in Poland. They land in Italy. They land in Greece, and the burden, regardless of policy language, always falls where the boats and border crossings actually occur.
We specified, but we are satisfied with what we have because we said we had our own negotiation objectives. We said that we do not agree to any relocation and we do not agree to any compensation on that.
Poland said no, direct, unapologetic, and without a hint of hesitation. No quotas, no payments, no place in the solidarity pool. And with that one rejection, the so-called mandatory system collapsed like it was built on slogans instead of power. Because if a policy falls apart the moment someone ignores it, it was never mandatory, just Brussels theater dressed up as unity.
Support, because the fact that there have been nearly 30,000 attempts to cross our border. We have prevented these attempts. That means 30. Thank you. 30,000 fewer refugees, illegal migrants, have successfully made their way to various countries across the entire European Union.
Brussels assumed Poland would eventually comply, that pressure, negotiation, or silence would tame the rebellion. But Poland didn't retreat or reconsider. Instead, it flipped the narrative upside down. While the Commission preached relocation, Poland pointed to something far less rhetorical. 30,000 illegal crossings stopped at its border. Warsaw argued that it already carries the burden others only debate. Europe talks solidarity, Poland enforces it on the ground.
Defend these borders. Our borders are secure, our borders are well protected, our borders are properly safeguarded, and we expect support here from all the countries of the community.
This is the fracture Brussels never accounted for. A country refusing not out of ideology, but out of math, geography, and border reality. Because when one member state secures the frontier and still gets billed for refusing relocation, the logic collapses. Poland didn't expose the system by shouting. It exposed it by doing the job.
Continue a situation where people without permits simply travel through Europe and to countries and live under circumstances that are not acceptable. So this is.
And once Poland proved the system cracks under refusal, Brussels felt something far more dangerous than opposition. It felt precedent-forming. The EU doesn't weaken when one nation objects, it weakens when others realize they have the same power. Hungary reads Poland's stance not as defiance but as leadership. Austria studies the leverage. Slovakia and the Netherlands analyze the outcome. The migration pact was designed to create uniformity, yet Poland's refusal has instead produced variation, hesitation, and boldness where none existed before.
Prime Minister claimed Poland would be exempted from the EU's migration pact.
This is why Brussels insists on calling the system solidarity. Because without that word, the mechanism resembles enforcement, quotas assigned, payments demanded, dissent priced. Yet every week the Commission sounds less like an authority and more like a narrator trying to restore a story that Poland already rewrote. The pact was meant to prove control. Instead, it exposed reliance, a structure that functions only when no one questions it. Poland questioned it, and the framework trembled.
Poland's previous government already opposed the relocation policy. Tusk argues that Poland already hosts a large number of Ukrainian refugees who fled the war with Russia.
Ursula von der Leyen now stands at the center of a project that no longer behaves like her victory. It behaves like her test. The migration pact was meant to be her legacy policy, the achievement she could point to as proof that Europe still acts as one. Instead, Poland has forced her role to shift from architect to negotiator, from presenter to persuader. Every statement she delivers now carries a subtle urgency, not a celebration of what has been built, but a reassurance that the structure still holds. And reassurance is only needed when confidence has already slipped.
Poland is the only country in the European Union which we haven't had even one terrorist attack. We don't have stabbings, we don't have rapes, we don't have all these really dangerous behaviors from migrants, illegal migrants. So
the Commission can pressure Poland legally, but legal pressure is slow, uncertain, and politically nuclear. Launching enforcement against a member state risks showing the world that unity needs force to survive, and that is a headline no treaty, no speech, no European Parliament session wants to explain. So Ursula is left to manage perception instead of compliance. She must appear strong without overreaching, flexible without seeming weak, decisive without triggering rebellion. For the first time in this debate, Brussels is reacting instead of leading. It responds to Poland, not the other way around. That reversal matters because institutions lose authority not when they are defeated, but when they chase outcomes they once commanded.
we built a beautiful wall on our border with Belarus, and there's no way anyone would enter Poland. When you see the data from Eurostat, not ours, from European Union, Poland is the safest country in Europe.
Poland's refusal matters not because it stands alone, but because it opens a pathway others can follow. A single break in the line does not weaken the Union, but the possibility of a second, third, or fourth break absolutely does. The moment Warsaw proved a country can reject the pact without immediate penalty, every capital recalculated its options. Hungary already signals alignment. Austria speaks of national control. Slovakia, Czechia, and the Netherlands weigh the same approach. They are not rushing. They are observing. And observation is the first stage of imitation.
Document means an exemption from relocation for Poland. That is absolutely no financial contributions.
Europe now divides into two models, shared redistribution versus sovereign border control. One sees solidarity and quotas. The other sees security and enforcement. Warsaw stands at the front of the second model, and its stance carries weight because it's backed by results, not rhetoric.
Crime by foreigners. Anyone who is hosted in Poland takes advantage of our hospitality and violates the law in a violent manner will be deported from Poland.
What comes next isn't about negotiations, it's about who sets the rules. If Poland holds its line, Brussels faces two paths: enforce the pact or reshape it. Enforcement risks revolt. Revision confirms weakness. Either way, Poland is now influencing the direction more than the Commission.
So view migrants as a threat to security and cultural identity. Drawing a red line, Tusk declared, Poland will not accept additional burdens, full stop.
The real threat for Brussels is multiplication. 1, refusal is manageable. 2, create a bloc. 3, change the system. If even one more major country joins Poland's stance, mandatory solidarity turns into voluntary participation, and the entire framework collapses from suggestion into irrelevance.
However, Poland rejects all options, framing the pact as forced compliance. And Tusk's defiance fuels nationalist sentiment, rallying voters who fear cultural dilution.
There's also an alternative taking shape, a model Poland is already demonstrating: border defense instead of relocation, security instead of redistribution. Countries that stop illegal crossings gain support, not penalties. This isn't a theory being debated in Brussels, it's a reality being built on Poland's frontier, and if this model spreads, the pact doesn't get reformed or renegotiated. It simply becomes obsolete. Right now, across Europe, capitals are doing the math. They're watching Poland stand firm without consequences. They're measuring their own leverage. They're asking themselves the question Brussels never wanted asked: what happens if we just say no? The answer is forming in real time, and it's not coming from Brussels.